Hey guys, this is JediKids here with part 2 on how to make your own Sith Acolyte mask. This part deals with my process and journey of making a mask out of plastic for the first time, with a custom shape and trimmings and decals afterwards. If you guys haven't been bothered or annoyed by my voice by now, you'll be very interested to know how exactly I was able to do this, and I had to research this myself. But if you are perfectly fine with making a mask out of paper mache, then just the first part is all you'll need. So okay, let's get started. So the first thing that I did was I made sure that my mask was fine, no cracks, no dents, no bruises or irregularities, and I made it as smooth as I wanted to, which was really well done. So the kit that I used to make it out of plastic, I don't know if you guys have heard of the company Smooth On, but they specialize in making different like rubber molds, life casting, prosthetics, like sculpting, props, and special effects. Like a lot of adhesive material and sculpting material with different kinds of uses and applications. They did have a product especially that was good for what I was trying to do, and it was basically taking a layer of silicone rubber that you would cover around your object, and you would get a bigger, like a shell, to make sure that the rubber would stay there. And it had this kind of liquid plastic. I'll talk more about this later on, but you would pour it in there, and after like say 10 to 15 minutes it would be completely dry, and you would have just this one thing of pure plastic with the exact shape inside. And I think it turned out pretty well. Okay, so the first part of this was the kit. The kit that I used, the box name I guess is Mold Making and Casting. It was the starter kit because I'm a beginner. I'm starting to learn. It comes with an instruction DVD, a pamphlet on the different steps to do, and it comes with a couple of different materials. You've got your part for the liquid rubber, which will make the shape. You've got your plastic paste material, which will make the shell, and then you have your liquid components. So you have two parts, A and B, that you mix together, so that when it dries, you get plastic, solid plastic. So the first thing that you have to do, if you don't have this material, or if you want it, you can go on smoothon.com and you can get it for yourself. I believe the price for the starter kit is $73.49 to be exact, if you guys are those kind of people. But if you are, I guess, if you really want to make a good looking mask, then I would probably recommend getting this kit. I couldn't find a better deal, because getting the components individually, it would basically add up to the same price as getting the starter kit. But with the starter kit, you actually get the DVD and the steps on how to do it the right way without killing yourself or inhaling too many fumes. I am proud to say that that is not what happened to me, as I am still here alive and talking to you, and I believe I am mostly sane. So the first part when having this kit is you have to make your liquid rubber material, and that comes with something called Rebound 25. It's a molding rubber that you mix the two components, A and B, and you put them into one combined dispenser. What I did was I measured it out of like liquid, or like small plastic cups that you probably use in your bathroom, and I did equal amounts of those with parts A and B, and mixed it all together. Stirred it for about 1 minute, and then I took popsicle sticks as my brushes, and I covered basically the entire area out of that orange goop. So you could not really tell what was underneath it, like what the detail was. But it is important that you start off with one layer, which will go over everything, And just as a warning, this stuff drips. When I was doing it, I couldn't find a way to keep the rubber sticking on or staying up, but that was because I wasn't supposed to be using so much for the first layer. So that was my mistake, and I learned from it. So the first layer should basically be a thin coat all around. Just cover whatever you can. It's like the same thing as pouring a bucket of water all over and it gets entirely wet, but it's very thin and it's not building up anywhere. So once you get your first layer, you're going to want to make sure that the whole front area is covered, the whole front part of the mask. You don't have to worry about the inside because that's where you'll be pouring the plastic later. You also want to put, like, say, a couple of wall support pieces. You can make them out of cardboard or aluminum foil. Put them underneath your chin pieces because you want your mask to be completely flat and flush on whatever surface that you're choosing to do this on. For me, I did, like, the first time I did a cardboard, just random piece of scrap cardboard, and I placed it on there and did all my stuff. So the first layer of rubber is put on. Now you'll want to add a second layer, which is thicker. You're going to do the exact same thing that you did with the first layer, cover the entire area, and in order to, I guess, have it there longer, there is a little bottle of silicone thickener, Divex. You'll want to add just a few drops of that to your mixture of your A and B components with Rebound 25, and just mix it up for about a minute, and you can put it over your mask. The actual amount, the ratio of drops per ounces of Rebound 25 is included in the kit, but I figure that you can keep adding drops until you feel that it is strong enough not to goop around everywhere. And that worked out well. I mean, I didn't kill myself. So I have the second layer done with the thicker one, and if you need to apply a third layer, which I would recommend that you do, just do the same thing, but make sure that you have one good cup-shaped liquid rubber coat that covers your entire mask. It will look pretty deformed when it's finally done, but you're going to think that the detail that it captures inside is awesome. So, once you're done with your silicone rubber mold, you have that entire thing on there, now is the time for the support shell, the mother mold. The mother mold casting, the outside. It's very important that you do this because when you pour in your plastic, I guess I'll explain like the reason why you have to have this at all. When you make your rubber mold that covers the detail inside, it's basically rubber. It's flexible and it can go everywhere. So when you pour in your plastic, it will bend, it will move, it will twist. The shape can change, and you don't want that to happen. You want to keep the original shape. So you cover the whole thing with a shell that you make yourself. Now, how you make the shell is also in the instructions, but you basically take these two parts, A and B. You've got some kind of plastic paste stuff that looks like mashed potatoes, and you have this other little alcohol bottle-looking thing that contains something that looks like gravy. So you mix the mashed potatoes and gravy together with the ratio of 2 cups of mashed potatoes per 1 cup of gravy, and you basically get this kind of dinner something in the cup. It really does look like mashed potatoes. I'm not kidding. It's so funny. So when you put those together, you put the mixture in, you cover the whole mask. I had to do 2 cups because with that kind of size and the cups that I was using, which you can probably tell are a little bit small, I did 2. I did this step 2 times. But I did one side covering the entire area and having a little bit of a lip on the bottom so it would cover the rubber, and I did another one for the other side. But it was all on the outside. I didn't have to do anything inside. So once you do the entire shell over, and you let that dry for about, let's say, 45 minutes to an hour. I think they have the descriptions on how long you're supposed to wait on the kit. You got your shape. So then you have to take your mask out of your mold, and that's a little bit tricky because depending on how strong that your I don't know, I guess your rubber was, or how much it enclosed, and depending on the shape of the mask as well, if it starts curving down as it gets lower to the cardboard piece or the surface that you're doing it, that's going to make it really hard to get out, because it's like you're trying to get a bottle out of another bottle, like a round flask. It's like getting a ship out of a bottle. You have a bigger area inside that can fit to get out, so you really have to be careful with that. But fortunately, rubber is flexible, and so is the mask. The shell is not. I would not recommend bending the shell, but the mask is flexible and you can move it around to get it out. So once you get that, you'll have three pieces: your support shell, your customized support shell, your rubber mold that captures the detail, and your unscathed paper mache mask. It looks pretty cool with the final product too. So once you have that done, you're going to be taking your liquid plastic. The stuff is called Smoothcast 300. It has two parts with it, A and B, and these you mix together in order to get your plastic resin. So you put those two components into one bigger mixture, one bigger cup. Stir it about for a minute, and just gotta warn you, this stuff gets really hot when it reacts. And that's one of the reasons why it dries so fast, because of the chemical process that's coming, or the reaction. So you can do a pour, you can do a steady stream. I would recommend having someone help you out with this, someone to hold the mask while another person is pouring. And as the person is pouring it out, you can swish the liquid around so that it covers the entire surface area of the mask. I would not do it for too long, because after a while the mask, or the liquid, gets thicker. It gets harder to move, and then it'll still dry at the same speed, and then you'll have this big blob of liquid plastic looking like a wave. That happened with me, unfortunately, so I would not want you guys to have the same effect. So I would just keep pouring plastic, like a small amount, until you can just cover the entire area. Same thing that I meant with like a bucket of water, just covering it with one layer, very thin. That's what I would recommend that you do. And if you have any extra, just swish it around with the top part, with the dome. Wait for that to dry. You don't want to have so much on one side that it's not going to equal out. And that'll dry in basically 5 to 10 or 15 minutes. It's like really fast. It looks pretty cool to watch too. It just starts turning white, like a big clean soft white. So when you have that done, your mask is going to be as thick as you want it to be. You can choose to put on how many layers of that kind of liquid plastic stuff that you want. I did a few because I wanted to get the entire surface area, and I didn't want it to break when somebody put pressure on it. So I did that same technique with the dome, and then the two side pieces and the inside, and then the front part with the mouth. It turned out okay. I had a little thin layer for myself underneath the nose. Next time I do that, I'll make sure to add one more layer there, because apparently I guess I wasn't careful enough in watching the liquid plastic get everywhere. But there is a layer there. And once you have a couple layers of that liquid plastic in, wait another half an hour for everything to dry and become completely solidified. Just as a warning, this stuff can have toxic fumes, so I would recommend doing the silicone rubber as well as the plastic paste materials, and maybe the Smoothcast 300 too. It's probably best that you do all this outside, wear a breathing mask or safety glasses and gloves. Gloves are really important because this stuff can easily get on you. Any kind of gloves that will do, either vinyl or elastic, but just make sure that your hands are covered. You don't want to burn yourself. So when you have your plastic shape inside, you are ready to take out the final design. You can do this the same way that you did pulling out your paper mache mask. And the plastic is flexible, which is really nice. So you can bend that out, you can get the rubber out. It should be easier compared to the first time. And just as a little note thing, because you made this mold, you can make as many of these plastic masks as you want. So the first time that you are taking out the original mask, that's going to be the hardest. Everything else is going to be a lot easier after that. And you can make these yourself, depending on how much material that you have and still have and want to use. So you've got the plastic mask. Pretty cool, huh? It has the exact same shape as the paper mache, and looks pretty much like the original thing. I mean, there were a couple areas where the cracks did show, and there was some tape that did bulge out. But all you really need to do is take some sandpaper and smooth it out as much as you want. There really is no perfect technique on how to do that. Just go over areas that the plastic really did a fine job on, and just do your best to make it as smooth as you want. So that is my second part tutorial on how to make your own Sith Acolyte mask out of plastic. Now, if you guys want to know how I painted this stuff, then you can move on to part 3, which is the spray painting and the final decals and the enamel coating and stuff. So if you guys want to find out how to do that and just want to make this stuff even cooler, then you can check that out. Or if you want to do your own kind of painting design, you've got some ideas that are better than mine, by all means go ahead. This was a experiment, and I think that it turned out pretty well. So if you guys want to watch my painting tutorial, stay tuned for part 3. Otherwise, thanks for watching my videos, and hope you subscribe.